Hello, everyone, and welcome into another edition of Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. I'm Adam Hildebrandt alongside Tiger head coach David Alexander. We're going to take a look back at the week that was against Union last week, and then we'll take a look ahead to Owasso here in a little bit as well. But, Coach, you scored, I think it was 57 seconds into the game, and then not a lot happened offensively in terms of getting into the end zone after that. So did it surprise you to see a lower scoring affair, and what do you think led to that in that game on Friday night?
No, I wasn't surprised at all. It very much mirrors our game one against them last year. We won 14-0. Two good football teams that have missed spring ball, missed all that time, and they're trying to figure each other out. We hadn't seen them in any 7-on-7s or passing lanes like we usually do, and so there's a feeling out process. Score so quick was awesome, and if you get Robert Spears Jennings the ball on the move, great things are going to happen. So, no, I wasn't surprised. I mean, that game was going to be close. It was going to be 35-32, or it was going to be 14-7.
And it did stay close throughout. It was never more than a one-possession ball game, if I remember correctly. No, that's not true. You guys got up 14-0 before halftime there. But when you look at Union's defense and how they stacked up, how do you think they'll compare to some of the other defenses you'll see over the course of this season?
Well, I do it by position groups. They have a fantastic defensive line. They got a couple guys that are really kind of special on the defensive line, especially in getting after the quarterback. And they've got a corner that's really, really good, and he's an underclassman. He's a junior as well. He's a good football player, and he matches up. You would think our receiver height would be a big advantage, but he's 6'3" as well, a corner for Union. He's a good football player, and so took away that one advantage we had outside there. We play Owasso this week, and I have not seen Jinx on defense, any film yet. I know Jinx is going to be fantastic. But this Owasso team's a little different than Union. Structurally, they're completely different, but some really good football players over on Owasso's football team as well. It'll be another low-scoring affair, I hope.
What are a couple of lessons that you think your offense learned against Union's defense this last week?
Wow. Lessons we learned. Well, I hope the number one lesson we learned is you can't turn the ball over in the red zone, right? That's the biggest thing. We only scored 14 points, but we gave ourselves other chances down there. And against a good football team, if you turn the ball over anywhere, but if you turn the ball over down inside the red zone, you just don't get that many opportunities down there. You get 3 or 4 a game, and that is it. We missed a field goal. We fumbled at the 11. We threw an interception down inside the red zone. So, those 3 possessions right there, had a chance to crack the game open early. We had a chance to go up 21-0 when we fumbled at the 11. Of course, Union could say the same thing about coming back, but that's what happens in good football games. Defense is going to make plays as well as the offense.
Jake Raines was not as efficient as we're used to seeing from him, and we'll ask him this same question essentially later, but what did you see from him, and in what ways do you think he'll grow from that game on Friday?
Well, he'll grow tons. He's a great leader. He loves his Tigers, and he cares about what he's doing. He loves his craft, so he'll get better every week. He's already tons better than he was last year, even though we didn't get to see him much this summer, as I'm sure he'll explain in a little bit. And we'll have to get better. This is a non-district game. We play these tough non-district games for a purpose. We want to see different coverages. We saw different coverages this week than we did the week before against Bentonville West, and we'll see different coverages against Owasso than we've seen for 2 weeks. So we have to prepare. We have to get ready, right, to get for that non-district. For that district run later.
It's always good to face some adversity outside of district play, especially if you get a win out of it. This offense, as you mentioned, saw some different coverages and looks like that, but they also had a lot of pressure on them, as did the defense in a one-possession game pretty well throughout. So how did you feel like the team dealt with that over the course of the game?
Well, honestly, we talked – that's a great question, Adam. We talked a lot. The defense was under some pressure. We talked a lot as a staff. One thing the offense did, right, even though they didn't put a lot of points on the board, every time they got the ball – they were able to grind out 2 or 3 first downs, right, which kept Union, right, on a long field, right? We won the field position battle almost the whole night. And so it's hard for any high school offense, ours included, Owasso, Union, right, to drive it 80, 90 yards consistently. And, we punted a couple times, got them to inside the 20. And so even though the offense was not putting up points, we played a great team football game, right? Played really well special teams-wise. Offense was never just a 3 and out. We moved the ball. We ended every possession that we needed to with on the plus side of the field. So that's really difficult. It made it difficult on Union to try to go score points.
You mentioned getting those 2 or 3 first downs. I think Union's average starting field position in the fourth quarter was somewhere around their 10 or 12-yard line, and Seth Dodd played a big role in that as well.
Yeah,
he averaged more than 30 yards a punt, pinned him inside the 20 3 times. How challenging is it for a punter when you get into those? That's a very technical and specific situation for him, and he performed well.
Well, yeah, Seth Dodd's a senior, right? He's a multi-sport athlete. He's been in pressure situations before. He's got a calmness about him for that position, which is a fantastic relief for the head coach. And he did, yeah, man, he was money. And again, a high school football team to drive the football 90 yards is very, very difficult. You're going to have a penalty. You're going to have a bad snap. You're going to drop a pass, right? Or you're going to miss a block and put yourself behind the chains somewhere in an 8-play drive, 9-play drive.
What other aspects of special teams stood out to you last week?
Well, except for missing the field goal, I think we won the special teams battle. We did a great job again. Make sure our coverages were great. Our kicker did a great job. One time, we started the game off with a high pooch, right? A Union made an adjustment, and we had an audible, which is going to sound weird, but we had an audible, right? Instead of pooching it, right? He kicked it deep down to about the 10-yard line. Did a great job. Mason Garrett, the kicker, he would like to have that field goal attempt back, but I think we won the special teams battle.
Was that audible something that the coaches saw from the box and sent down, or was that like a read for him as the kicker?
It was a read for him as a kicker, something we talked about during the week and he'd worked on, right? We're going to pooch it here to this kid every time. If the backline guy moves up, just take another step back, right? Kick a little deeper. And Mason, another senior that's been doing it, again, had some calmness about him and made the right choice.
You mentioned a moment ago it's very tough to go 90 yards. You're going to have a penalty at some point or something along those lines. Your team has combined for 5 penalties in the first 2 games. How happy are you with those numbers?
Well, it's way better than expected, right? Way better than expected. You just never know, right? And the most proud I am is we've had 1 penalty that's been post whistle, and coaches hate those. The pre-snap penalties we've got to clean up. We can get those cleaned up, then I think we're going to be right where we want to be going into district play.
Even with the things that you want to clean up in there, what does that say about the discipline of your team early on, in particular in a season where you haven't had a ton of reps beforehand?
Well, it's surprising. Like I said, it's a great problem, or not a problem. It's a great situation we're in. We've got a lot of new starters, but they've got a lot of poise about them, and they're showing that, on Friday nights or the Saturday afternoon game, showing the poise to not get rattled in a big moment and have a silly penalty, a jump off sides or more than a normal amount.
That's head coach David Alexander. We'll take a short break. We'll talk some defense when we come back here on Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib.
Finding your happy place is something special, and it's different for everyone. You probably already know where to find yours, and TTCU Federal Credit Union can help you get there. Right now, you can earn up to a $200 bonus when you open a new checking account with direct deposit. So wherever your happy place finds you, TTCU will meet you there. TTCU Federal Credit Union. Life is better in balance.
Adam Hildebrandt, head coach David Alexander, back with you here on Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. And coach, we talked a little bit about the offense and the special teams in that game against Union. The defense was very solid throughout that game, and we talked about the offense and the punter helping keep Union pinned deep. At the same time, there were not a lot of first downs that the defense allowed to help them dig out of that hole in that fourth quarter. So how impressed were you with the defense down the stretch trying to defend a one-possession game?
Yeah, defense played magnificently, really. New coordinator in Clarence Holly, and they had to see the mistakes they made in the Bentonville West game, And they did such a fine job. Had a great game plan, and the kids were flying around making plays. We got turnovers. We had big plays in the backfield, keeping Union behind the chains, setting the down and distance in our defense's favor.
And A.J. Green, we knew what kind of weapon he was out of the backfield. He ran it for 138 yards, but it took a lot of carries, and he was not able to find the end zone. So how were you guys able to kind of keep him in check over the course of that game?
Man, AJ's a special talent, right? I mean, obviously he's a running back. He's committed to an SEC school, and he's the 100-meter champion in track. So he's a great football player. And, the only way to keep a guy like that, and I don't know if 138 yards is keeping him down, but, right, to limit those, right, you're just trying not to have him turn a 12-yard run into a 60-yard run. And that takes team defense. That means 11 guys have got to be tackling him, because one guy is not going to tackle him. He's going to break a tackle. So that was the talk. You tackle number 2 and you tackle number 6. A.J. Green's number 6, because he's pretty special with the ball in his hands.
Union threw out a couple of trick plays in there, including at one point bringing the backup quarterback in for a double pass. Did everything, when you went back and reviewed it on film, look sound on those types of plays in terms of guys staying where they were supposed to be?
And Jalen Johnson was the corner with them double pass. Man, did a great job staying with his guy, staying in his deep half, doing exactly what he's supposed to do. That's a difficult thing. You're the backside corner. You see a bubble over there, which is a play we saw from Bentonville West a bunch of times. We've seen it from Union a bunch of times. We see it in practice every day. It's hard not to get a little bit lazy right there. And that takes a senior that started football games and trusting his teammates, to stay deep, and made a great play on the double pass.
The defensive line is learning some new strategies this year under Coach Holly, and you mentioned they were in the backfield disrupting a lot, but with Union, that quarterback run game was certainly in effect and something you had to watch out for. So you talked a week ago about trying to avoid misfits. Did you feel like they did a good job of that in that game?
Much improvement from game 1 to game 2. And we're not ever going to be perfect, but right, you've got to win more battles than you lose, and I think the defensive line improved immensely, maybe more than any other group on the field for both sides of the football. The defensive line made a lot of plays, negative plays, sacks, and really keeping number 2. I know number 6, A.J. Green had 138 yards, but Rovon, quarterback, who's he ran for 250 against us last year in the playoffs, something like that, 240. So we did a really good job tackling the quarterback number 2.
Union had a little trouble throwing the football in that game. You knew they were going to try to do a lot on the ground, and that puts a little extra emphasis on corners and safeties coming up and making plays in the run game as well. Did you feel like those guys were up to the challenge physically coming up and meeting those ball carriers?
Well, it was that was the test. We didn't know going into the game. We had a starter out, right? We had Javian Franklin, we call him Memphis. We had him out of the game, so we had a sophomore starting back there. We have another guy that's been a starter, but he had to move, change positions. So we were, as coaches, we're like, hey, how are we going to do? But they were up to the challenge. Obviously, it worked out. We made big plays. Sterling Ramsey took over for Javian at the free safety spot. Sterling's been a starter, but new spot for him. And he had an interception, played fantastic, led the defense and making calls and getting us all set up correctly. So you'd have to give those guys in the secondary a grade of an A+.
That's good to hear. I think that's a second straight great game in a row with an A+ for the secondary. So We'll see if that trend continues. That's head coach David Alexander. We'll be right back with more. Talk a little bit about Owasso after our conversation with Jake Rains here in just a moment. This is Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib.
Recently, you've had to put your life on hold, and we're with you in this. At Ascension St. John, we're now open for appointments, and we are fully prepared for your safety and our care. As we open our doors again, our doctors, nurses, and care teams will continue to wear personal protective equipment. We've taken even more steps to clean and stringently disinfect all areas. We will maintain distancing in our waiting rooms, and will continue to limit visitors. And we will still screen all staff to protect their health and yours. Our emergency rooms are here 24/7. Please do not delay care. We're still delivering babies and performing surgeries. And we're open for your appointments, from specialists and surgical care to routine care and health screenings. Ask us about virtual visits. Ascension St. John continues to care for you, as we have been for almost a century. Thank you for trusting us.
Welcome back to Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. Adam Hildebrandt back with you, and I'm joined now by Broken Arrow senior quarterback Jake Rains. Jake, Union threw some new challenges at you guys last week defensively. What did they do to kind of make things difficult for you guys?
Well, they rolled a lot of coverages. They didn't show a lot on week one. They came out with some new things and kind of surprised us a little bit, but hey, that's no excuse. We got to execute this week.
In terms of rolling coverages and from your perspective, identifying coverages, how far have you come from your perspective in the last year, now with a year of starting experience under your belt, trying to identify what the defense is doing before the snap in particular?
A lot more, because last year I was pretty new to it, just not a lot of varsity experience, but this year they can put a lot more on my plate, and I feel like I can read a lot more and see a lot more than I could last year and the previous year.
You have some serious size in your weapons at receiver. Union had some pretty good size at corner, perhaps as good as you guys will see all year. How did that challenge your receivers last week?
Well, we tried to put on a couple one-on-ones, but their corners were ready. They were locked down. They weren't going to allow any, deep balls, one-on-one shots. They did a really good job of locking down our receivers, and it created some problems for us.
You guys, as a unit over the course of that game, faced some adversity. Really more so than you did in week one. How did you feel like you guys dealt with that?
We struggled. We were a little surprised. They played us a lot better than I think we were prepared for. We kind of came off a week one high. We know we scored 50 points in week one. I think we were a little too caught up in that. We got to play our game this week in order to win.
So what was it like for you guys in the film room? Saturday, Monday, whenever that was, trying to kind of regroup as a unit, and what did you guys take from that game?
To be honest, it was a little rough, but it was a very good learning experience for us. I mean, we did a few things right, but not enough. But it was good for us to see like us against another good team. But we need to bounce back.
This has been a year, when you go back to March, that's been very unusual for football players at any level, in particular at the high school level. Was there anything that you guys were able to do over the summer to try to keep some sort of connection as a team when you would usually be in 7-on-7 camps and things like that?
Yeah, we did some workouts on like Zoom calls and like online classes and stuff. We would get on there, we'd work out together, do some like body weight stuff, and they'd put out running plans for us to go work out on our own. But it was good. We got to see each other a little bit. If we could meet, we could meet. But we had to do all the social distancing, mask and stuff. But it was definitely not normal. But we got it done, I think.
We're joined by Tiger quarterback Jake Rains. Jake, you got another big one coming up this week against Owasso. Certainly some playoff potential down the road. So what kind of opportunity do you see in front of you this week?
Well, it's another good measuring stick for us because we're still trying to figure out who we are offensively, and Owasso, they're going to bring it this week. They're not going to hold nothing back, but it'll be good for us to see what we got just again. But we got to figure out what we need to do, and we need to execute well this week.
That's Broken Arrow senior quarterback Jake Rains. We'll be back to wrap things up and look ahead to Owasso with Coach Alexander in just a moment here on Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib.
The Tigers of 1962 compiled an outstanding record of 8 wins and 2 losses. The team featured all-conference stars Charles Harper, Gary Fultz, Paul Collins, Dick Cook, and Bob Weeks. Highlights for the season included a 22-0 shutout of Sand Springs, a 48-26 drubbing of Nowata, and an ever so impressive 40-8 rout of Tahlequah. This great moment in Tiger history is brought to you by First National Bank of Broken Arrow, a loyal fan of our community for over 100 years. First National Bank of Broken Arrow, the right balance.
Hello and welcome back to Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib as we wrap things up for this episode with head coach David Alexander. And coach, the Owasso Rams come in this week. Broken Arrow and Owasso have really risen to the forefront of Oklahoma high school football over the last few years here. Both have won state championships. Coach Blankenship certainly has been coaching in Tulsa for a long time in various roles now. So what's kind of your relationship with him? How far do you guys go back?
Coach Blankenship and I go back quite a ways. He's obviously a great coach. I have my oldest son played for him at the University of Tulsa. So, I've been around his sons. One of them worked for me for a while here at BA. So I've known, and Josh played for me when I was coaching the Talons. So the Blankenships and Alexanders have got quite a long history. And it's going to be quite the spectacle on Friday night.
With that in mind, does that kind of add to the chess match? Because you guys are both pretty familiar with your football brains at this point.
Well, that's the story behind the story. And all these games here locally, we're all connected. The coaches at Jinx, Union, Owasso, and BA, we all know each other. And the kids know each other. We've got kids at BA and Owasso that go to church together or play Little League baseball and basketball and football together. So that's the story behind the story. And so it is a chess game. And, for 2.5 hours on Friday night or however long we have to play, Coach Blankenship and I will be adversaries and doing everything we possibly can to win the football game.
Certainly you've had a chance to scout and look at film for Owasso at this point. Sure. What stands out to you about them as a football team?
Well, obviously, right, going into the season, everybody had them picked number one, because they had a lot of starters coming back. So the first two things that stand out when you watch film on them is their offensive line and the defensive line. Their offensive line's got 5 seniors returning. Right, if you have 5 senior starters, because we had that here at BA, it's a comfort as a coach, because you can run any offense. You can run spread or you can run wishbone. If you block people, you're going to be successful. And their defensive line. They've got a couple really good football players up there. A little different looking than what we saw last week from Union. These are going to be a little shorter, a little heavier guys than what we saw at Union. The tall, thin pass rush guys. But those are the two units that really stand out on Union's, on Owasso's football team.
With that in mind, we talked about communication among the offensive line in particular last week. Is this a different challenge? Because for a third week in a row, you're going to see a defense that looks different than the one you saw the week before.
Yes, this is structurally completely different. At least at least Union and Bentonville were structured out of a 3-man front. Okay, now there were differences completely, especially in the secondary. Right, we're going to see a 4-man front this week against Owasso. So a complete different structure. Not a big blitz football team. A little bit. They're kind of old school in the secondary. A little bit. They're going to be a little more physical, be a little more run oriented on the edge with the corners. So it'll be a completely different defensive package, which is great for us, right? It's non-district game. We're going to go out there and try to win this football game, and it's going to make us better, win or lose.
We'll be looking forward to it. Friday night, 7 o'clock kickoff. Broken Arrow hosting Owasso. If you can't catch the game in person, we'll have it for you on Arrow Vision as well. Thanks, Coach Alexander, for the time. We'll talk to you guys Friday night from Memorial Stadium. You've been watching Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib.